Welcome in to another episode of the My Two Bits Gators football podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, joined as always by your other host, Mr. Randy. Randy, how we doing tonight?
B, what's the good word, my man? We are hanging in. All is well in the land. Got a little chilly here the night before, a little freeze action. Of course, the winter, the cold snap, trying to hold on to whatever it can before that glorious sun and spring comes abound. So that's all's been going on in these neck of the woods, my man.
As always, with the weather update to start the pod. I was trying not to ask you about it, but there it is.
I had to do it, man. I was freezing. I'm freezing. I don't like the cold. I don't like it.
Right on. Well, it is, of course, March, and that means we are only a day away from the start of the tournament. So definitely looking forward to that. We will have a little basketball for you to close this, as we've been doing on regular cadence with this. But without further ado, we'll get into the episode here. It is our episode 84 with our spring practice early insights and intel for you, trying to give you a little in-depth intel of what's been going on early on and with the spring practices under the new Summerall regime here. So we will break that down for you, a few different things, run it down with our intro, of course, start off our mission, our accuracy disclaimer, our vision, and our agenda. Our mission is always to provide factual analysis of all things Florida Gator football and a little basketball too. Our information will be accurate to the best of our possible ability. We will cite our sources whenever we use them, and all statistical data comes from either ESPN or stats.ncaa.org, and recruiting data comes from on3.com. Our vision is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on review of film, and while we will express opinion, that opinion should always be based in some form of fact. We will also evaluate strategy and tactics and discuss our observation of player personnel decisions, as well as on the field execution. And we will be doing some of that, as at least as it relates to practice tonight. So our agenda for this evening, we're going to talk about some visibility and transparency that we've seen a little differently with this coaching staff so far throughout the beginning of spring practice. Talk about some of the differences we've seen with spring practice from some previous regimes, not just Napier, but some of the previous ones as well. Talk about the coaching involvement. Kind of that trickling down from not only Summerall but also some of the position coaches, and kind of some of the differences there as well, not just from a comparison standpoint, but just calling out some of the things we've seen in general. And then we'll give you a breakdown of some standout player performances so far that have been seen and or reported. So far to date through the first 2 weeks. Obviously, we're in spring break right now, so no practice this week, but the first 2 weeks that we had prior, we'll break that down. Lastly, we will have that Gator basketball update for you for your South seed or South region. Goodness, if I can get it on my mouth, South region #1 seed Florida Gators. Love it. So with that, let's get things kicked off. Talk to us a little about some of the differences that we're seeing, or just some of the things I guess we're seeing with visibility and transparency so far.
Yeah, so I think the key thing here when we look at visibility and transparency, what was really tough under different regimes was trying to figure out the term coach speak, trying to
Yeah.
figure out what they were saying at the podium. Because it's like, what they're saying at the podium is A, B, C, D. But then what you had to do was go through the key and you had to go through the different letters that could be coming out of it and go, okay, what did they actually say? I don't think they're saying A, B, C, D, especially when it came to Billy Napes. He had a unique way of, well, I think we need to go back and look at the film and just kind of figure out where what our competencies are. And so you've got that.
Careful, you're going to give people flashbacks.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah, true. After we recover from PTSD from it, right? Um, you
Is that is
know,
that is that BTSD? I'm sorry.
hey, touche. Okay, 5 points for you that one. Um, and then you have this breath of fresh air that comes in and goes, "Hey, yeah, we're not. I mean, we got a lot to work on here. Real simple, huh? It's just
Yeah.
amazing. So,
Yep.
coach speak is different. Tone
Yeah.
is different, right? So
Yeah. Slightly.
reserved, stoic is no more. It's Mach
No,
5 with your hair on fire, right?
that's right.
And I think one of the biggest keys, or one of the biggest things, a group that probably has felt it is the media. Because when you look at the old regime, the OR, um, when you talk about media availability, especially when it comes to spring practice, 15 minutes tops, folks. And allegedly, we've heard reports that media availability is now up to 40 minutes.
It's not allegedly. I can confirm that. I've got confirmed of that from Gators Online. Alberverdi reported that definitively on a pod, actually, or a update on YouTube, I think, actually, recently. 100% it is 40 minutes.
Folks, we're moving from alleged to confirmed. Never mind. Case closed. Good night. Game over. Drive home safely. So, when it comes to visibility and transparency, Summerall is just basically saying, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is why we do it. Either you like it or you don't. Quite frankly, I don't give a flip. But we're going to show you as much as we can. And
Yeah.
again, night and day. Night and day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think again, aside from the comparison factor, right? I think the other thing to look at, well, actually, I will make a comparison out of this. So let me take back those words.
Okay. Okay.
When you look at what was happening previously, with whether it was Napier or even previous regimes, right? There was always some form of coach speak. Obviously, a lot more with Billy, but like even in some of the previous stuff prior to that with Mullen and then McElwain, which that's some weird stuff going on there. But like when you look at that, or even when you go back to Muschamp and some of the stuff that he would say to the media, and you got to go pretty far back to remember some of that. But like he would get fired up too, but he would just say stuff that was like, okay, like you just seem like you're mad all the
He
time,
just mad.
you know?
Coach Boom.
Coach Boone just mad. So
Yep.
like at the end of the day, like that's fine. And I've said this a million times. I don't care what my coach says at a press conference. I don't.
Yep.
I just don't care. Some people do. I don't. It is not important to me. But I will make this argument. In this particular case, the interesting thing is when you look at how John is handling this and you look at how he is addressing things and the things that he is saying instead of the things he's not saying, right? Billy was all about what he's not saying, reading between the lines, figuring out what's going on, and then making a lot of assumptions about what he was saying to the team. But think about this argument. We assumed that those things were being said to the team and to the other coaches and
Yes.
to the staff members, right? You know, whatever they might be. What if they weren't? Or what if they weren't being said enough or in the right way or definitively? What if there was a lot of coach speak going on there too?
Sure.
And maybe not in the same way as the media, certainly, but like, what if he just wasn't being definitive enough, actionable enough? You know, setting the tone the way it needed to be set in order for players, coaches, staff members, front of house, GM, whatever, right, to understand fully what he was trying to accomplish. And I'm not trying to give him an out because that's his fault if he wasn't. But what if that really wasn't happening either the way it should have or frankly at all? Because at this point, I can question a lot of things with what we saw on the field last year with the amount of talent we had on the team. It wasn't just the X's and O's. It just wasn't. That was a part of it for sure, but it's more than that at this point. So when we look at that, now let's compare, because I said I did want to do that. If Summerall is out there giving you what he's giving you in a presser, it is very hard for me to see how he's not doing that and then some with the team, with the coaches, with the GMs. Because again, he talks about he's unapologetically himself, right? That's a quote. I don't think you're getting a whole lot of difference, certainly not less with the players and the coaches, right? He's going to put it out there. So I don't think there's any doubt what the expectations or the mission or the vision, right, are. I think that is being extremely well communicated. And that's important, right? So again, transparency. We're talking about it in terms of the media perspective here, which we like because it helps us see, not that we're media, but just, well, I guess we are in a form, but not
Quasi.
traditional
Yeah.
media, right? So, but it's just very interesting because I think it's again, we had to make assumptions with some of the previous staff of what was going on. We know there were some culture issues potentially in regimes prior to Billy. Where did that come from? Again, what did that communication look like? I don't think we're seeing that here, so at least not yet, certainly. I think the things that this is showing us is that we are getting the kind of communication that I would certainly want to have to the team and the players. And that, while I don't care what he says in a press conference, I absolutely care what he says to the team, to the coaches, to the staff, right? That is critical. And certainly, by all appearances, because we can't know because we're not in the room, right? We can never know. But it's a lot easier to assume that this is going in the way that makes sense and is, a driving force than it was prior, right? A lot of assumptions had to be made before, a lot less have to be made now. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, just an interesting thing to think about and look at in terms of this. So any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, to that end, I think it's interesting because a lot of that message, and we've talked about this before. What's the probably one of the most difficult things to get through, right, to kids, especially an organization, right? The mission, the vision, all these things. So
Yep.
if you've got coach speak over here, you got this other stuff you're trying to convey to staff, and let's be honest, with all those staff members, how many of them actually got it? I don't it was probably a game of telephone, right? No
It's possible.
disrespect to how he did things,
That's possible. Sure.
but how many people actually got it, understood the mission, understood the job, understood their jobs? Eh.
Well, if they did understand them, they weren't necessarily executing them very well based
And
on the
and that's
results.
and that's the catch. Exactly. A lot of bodies doing what? Scattering
Yep.
like ants, being ineffective and inefficient. Sorry, okay, move on.
Yep. No, it's fair. Fair point. Fair point. All right, let's go to the next comparison, which is going to be the practice differences, things we are seeing on film or that are being reported. In fairness, but a lot of it's on film in terms of the differences that we're seeing with actual practice. So you can go back. A lot of this stuff's on YouTube. You can certainly go back and watch previous practices if you're interested to see some of this stuff. But if you go back and look at the first day, even the second, I believe, but certainly the first day when they were outside, because there was a couple days more recently where they were inside, because I think there might have been some weather or something that was going on, or at least the film that they got was inside more so, and so it wasn't the same vibe. But when they were outside those first couple of days, that first day especially, I was just really impressed with the complexity of the practice.
Hmm.
Bunch of different drills going on at the same time with the different position groups. This position group's over here doing this position group's over here doing this. They're kind of almost intertwined, not quite, but like close. Like they're all kind of on the same field. They're doing stuff very much together as a team. You know, even if they are working in with their own position groups and doing that stuff, like it was organized. It was clearly some thought was behind it. Somebody had really, kind of put this thing together. Like it's we'll get to this in a minute, but it's easy to see why he was so excited about practice because they put some thought into it. Like this was not half cocked in terms of like what was going on from an effort standpoint from the coaches and the planning and all the stuff that went into this. And I'm not saying that there was no plan before, but it wasn't the same. Again, go back and watch that practice film. Now, in fairness, we were only seeing 15-minute sections before, so perhaps it was just what we were seeing. I can't swear to that, right? I don't have evidence to the contrary, but it didn't look anything like this. And I mean anything. It was some receivers running some routes with some quarterbacks throwing them the ball against air. And I mean, the receivers were against air too. They were just running some basic stuff. There were not other coaches on the field messing with them, throwing brooms at them, throwing random obstacles in their face, which we're seeing in these drills. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of different stuff happening that I have not seen before in any of the recent regime's practice film that we have seen. Now, again, perhaps this is just because of the viewing period. I can't swear to that, but this looks different to me. Now, I know you got something you want to talk about in terms of a quote, and I think this reflects this as well. So I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, either way, it's good TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is for the 15 minutes, whatever the snippets that we're getting, it's pretty good TV. And
It is.
so,
It's a lot more fun to watch. I'll tell you that.
so I got a couple things. So the first thing is the fact that Napier and Mullen were what? Offensive minded. Don't laugh, B. Don't laugh, especially when it comes to Napier.
I
Offensive
mean,
minded.
it's
So
tempting
where
to laugh, but yes.
I know. But again, we're going back multiple regimes, right? Where did they spend their time with the QBs? They spend their time in the QB room. They spend their time offensive side of the football, quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, coordinators, right there. The funny thing about Sumrall is, yeah, he's a defensive minded guy, this, that, and the other. But the other thing is, he was quoted as saying, listen, if I can't get to all my position groups in like 25, 30 minutes, what am I doing? It's like, what? What am I doing? I so amazing. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that was the first thing. But the other thing that I think is extremely interesting and I think makes a big difference when it comes to preparation. Just like anything else, if you prepare, not practice makes perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. Sumrall's quote is saying, we got to push these guys. Okay. We have to push them so hard at practice. We want them to suffer. We want them for it to be hard in practice. We want them to be challenged at practice because if they find the game hard, we didn't do our job,
Yeah.
right? If we have an issue in the game because, oh, we didn't go up against this or we didn't simulate this, then that's a problem. We need to make practice like that. So therefore, in the game, you can just go out and perform. It's not going to be hard. It's going to be actually easier. We're putting you through that gauntlet at practice, literally and figuratively. So
So for those studying for the midterm, Allen Iverson and John Summerall would not have gotten along. Practice.
exactly. Exactly. And the other thing that I think is extremely interesting is he's a blue collar guy. He was a DB. All those things, right?
LB.
Works hard,
LB.
dog mentality. All those things. We love those things. But the other thing that I like about what he said when it comes to practice is we're going to ask the same amount out of these players mentally as we do physically. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got some thinking going on. We have some processing going on, right? So again, it's not just a eye test type of difference. It's A to Z difference when you look at what the culture he's trying to create, the habits he's trying to create. I mean, what do we hear out of Napier's regime? Not so much Mullen, but organization, right? Processes, all this other garbage when it came to discipline and systems. And well, I'm telling you, guess what? Summerall's got his process and systems. And it's going down. And it's going down in a big, big way. Because from what we've seen, it is clearly resonating with players and coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of that leads into our next dot pretty well. So we'll transition over that. I'll let you kind of keep rolling there with coaching involvement.
Yeah, and so I mentioned it before when he said, "Hey, I'm moving on to the different groups. If I can't get to all those groups in 25, 30 minutes, what am I doing?" Well, the thing that I think that creates is it creates awareness and it creates accountability.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
when your head coach is at all these different stations, right? What's going to happen with those position groups when your head coach comes over? I mean, the position coach, the assistant, and the players, right? A level is heightened there. There's
Hmm.
accountability. There's the ability to say, oh, yo, coach is coming over. I want to make sure I show out, or I want to make sure I give it 110%, or whatever the case might be.
Yep. And
Okay.
I think your point about coaches is important there too, right? Because not only are the players going to feel that
Yeah.
way, but the coaches should feel that way too, right? Hey, boss is coming over. I got to make sure I'm doing the right things. And not that it's, any kind of uh, I think a negative type of accountability, but more just a hey, I want to make sure I'm showing my best stuff, doing my best things,
Yes.
and if he's making those rounds in 25 minutes, well, that's pretty quick. So you probably got to be on your stuff all the time there, right? So that again just help creates a positive accountability culture, and I think that's
Yes.
really awesome.
Well, see, and that's the other thing. What do we know about coaches, right? the majority of coaches have an ego. The majority of coaches have their own way of coaching, right? Their processes, their ways of getting it done. And the main thing that we heard Summerall say was, "I'm not going to hire friends. I'm going to hire guys coming in understanding what the job is. The job is to elevate Florida football back to excellence, period."
Yep.
And these are the guys he brought in to do so. Okay. And speaking of which, we just got a new defensive assistant hire who's going to be under Chapman. Okay. Great. Awesome.
Wooford.
None of this other stuff, for about two line coaches on the O side, two line coaches on the D side, two coaches here, and another assistant and an analyst here. No, there's a lot of purpose with it. And so, with these guys understanding what he's about, and they're seeing him running around like a chicken with his head come off, right, like a wild man, they're feeling that. I mean, how could you not be around him and not feel it? I mean, I'm feeling it, and I'm not around him, but the stuff I'm seeing, the stuff I'm reading, it's got me jacked, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
so,
I want to add to that point because Albuquerque again has reported that, like, again, live from practice stuff, that last year, the loudest voice in the room by far, kind of the only loud voice in the room really, was Chapman. That's his personality. He's a loud
yes,
dude. He makes noise. I think they said maybe Robert Balla was pretty vocal, but Chapman by far and away dominated. Not anymore. He said
no.
this year, everybody kind of loud. And what does that reflect? It reflects your head coach being vocal, being loud, right? And dialing up that intensity, dialing up that like you talked about earlier, making practice very demanding, but in a way that inspires hard work, accountability, right? And real effort, so that you're actually growing and developing in practice, so that when you get to the season, you are prepared for it. The games are not, quote, hard. I know games are still going to have their challenges, certainly, but the idea being that you've done so much and worked so hard and worked your tail off so much in practice in the off season, that when it comes to the games, you are ready,
Yes.
as opposed to what we would always see week one with Napier, which was, what is this? Because
We
we
ain't
don't know.
ready. Nope, exactly. And B, to that point, goes the quote that I know you love this quote, but attitude reflects leadership.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Period.
Love it.
Right. And the last thing I'll say about the coaching involvement, one of the clips that I saw involved Summerall coming over to the wide receivers group.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you got a group of wide receiver, and this is a defensive minded coach. This
Yes,
guy
sir.
played right linebacker at
Yep.
Kentucky. And he's coming up to him going, "Hey, hey, what's going on? All right, how you doing, Slim? How you okay, show me what you got. Show me whoa, 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 whoa. What is this? What is this? You have a defensive minded coach showing a wide receiver. Show me how you do that again. Firing off the line. Explosion coming off the line. And he's saying, "Why are you doing with this foot? Where's your weight? How are you set? How are you ready?" Really?
Yep.
Yeah. I know he said being a defensive minded coach, I know he's got Brad White as the DC. He's going to have his thumbprint on the defense. He's going to have his thumbprint on special teams. Bro, he's going to have his handprint on the whole team, period.
Yep.
Period.
I mean, the way he's showing things right now, I don't see how he can't.
No.
Yep, I love that. And some of that coming from, just if you guys want to watch it, if you're as geek out on this stuff like we do, there is a YouTube clip called "Mic'd Up with Head Coach John Summerall." It's from at Gators FB. It's got almost 50,000 views. It is like 8 minutes long, but it's worth a watch. It's pretty cool. So if you haven't seen that one, check it out. And yeah, that's where some of that's coming from. I believe that particular interaction you're talking about is from that clip, but it just shows a lot of his interaction at practice. It's pretty neat. So again, if you like this stuff as much as we do, it's worth a look. So really get to see some cool interaction from that. So
For sure.
so yeah, the other thing I'll reference here is there was a quote. I believe this was just posted on, I think it was 247 posted on Facebook. I don't have the site on this one, but regardless, he was quoted as that he was so excited before the first night of practice that he kept waking up. He woke up at like 2, again at 2:30, again at 3, again at 4 and then said, screw it, I'm just going to get up because he couldn't sleep before the first day of practice because he was so excited. Not a game, practice. I'll
Oh
throw in another
boy.
little Iverson quote there.
Oh
Um,
boy.
so,
Love it.
I mean, are you kidding me? This guy is so jacked up. Like you talk about a guy who wants to be doing what he's doing. Are you wow. I mean, you can't sleep before a practice and a spring practice. This ain't fall practice. This is spring
Nope.
practice. Like I get it's your first one with the team. And so that's kind of cool. But like you can't sleep? I mean, wow. Talk about caring about what you do. Like that's awesome, man. I mean, it's probably also, a little bit like, okay, maybe a few less cups of coffee, John, but like, but also, that's awesome. I love it. I love it because it's clear how much he is invested and cares about what he's doing here, and I'll take that, 1,000 times over as compared to, and I'm not saying our other coaches didn't care. I'm not saying that at all. Please don't take that from a comparison standpoint. But
Sure.
just the amount that reflects that he is just fully in, right, for what we're doing here. Man, I love that. I absolutely love that. You're gonna endear yourself to me real quick when I hear stuff like that because that goes way beyond anything you can say in a press conference or show on the field or whatever, because that can all be a show. But if you are straight up
Oh
not
yeah.
being able to sleep because you are so jacked up about this, man, okay, that works for me. So I'm loving that for sure.
He
So
loves football, man. Loves
yeah,
football.
yeah. Well, and I hope that translates to loving Gator football. So we'll go from there. But anyway, any other thoughts on the involvement before we move on to the player performance?
I just and you know what I was I believe it was JD Pickell over there on three, but the thing that I'll say that the final impression on this is a breath of fresh air, and this is something we've been calling for, right? Again, Billy Napier, again, we wanted him to win. So many people wanted him to win. So many people wanted him to be here for more than 3.5 years. So
Yeah,
many people wanted the ultimate ceiling for Billy Napier. And the stoicism and the reservedness and the all those things. The culture definitely still was great thing. Again, John Summerall did not inherit a team in shambles per se, not the strongest roster, but a lot of great pieces to work with. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, what a great, big, massive breath of fresh air and fire breathed into this team, this program.
yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. Yeah, the contrast is palpable. I actually, if I didn't think, I guess I'll rephrase that. If I wasn't convinced at this point, and really have been convinced for a couple of months here now, that John really was so unapologetically himself, as again he said, I would actually think that he was trying to be as different from Napier as he could be, but he's not trying. He just is.
He just is, yeah.
He just is. They're just polar opposite people. and that is something that we needed right now. Whether that was purposeful by Strickland and the other, members that were involved in hiring him, I don't know, but it's probably a good move regardless. Whether
Yeah.
that whether that translates into actually us winning more games or not, we will have to find out. But because that in and of it, I'll actually take that a step further. That in and of itself won't. It takes more than just your demeanor, right? You have to actually put it to work and do something with it. But it certainly feels like that's happening. Is it? Time will tell. We will see. So, to that end, let's talk about how some players are doing,
All right.
from some of the intel we've gained. I'll get us started off here. Our number one star profile transfer, we'll go with
Yeah.
that, One, Eric Singleton Jr. Couple of stats on him from practice. First off, I'll give a little couple data points here. He's clocked at 23 miles an hour. Did run the fastest top speed on the team, just edging out. Who was it that
VB3.
he just edged out? It was VB3. That's who it was. Thank you. I was thinking in my head Dallas, but that's not
Yeah,
right because he was hurt. So it was VB3. You're right. Just
yeah,
edging him out. VB3 was at 22.9, I think, and Singleton
yes,
clocked at 23 mile an hour. That is absolutely translating to likely a sub 4.4, which
nuts.
doesn't surprise anybody with his track speed that he's already put down. He's 10.3, 100. Like none of this is surprising. However, that is cooking. This can also be seen in some of the practice film. If you watch some of the drills, you watch the receivers like go through and do what they do, and then two comes up and does the same thing, and it's like, whoa, that dude did the same thing but a lot faster. And it like keeps happening, right? Like, and if you see him on the field doing the same drill at the same time, it's like, oh wow, two got there a lot quicker than the other guys. He is so fast, man, and it's not just like straight line speed. His acceleration, his lateral quickness. I mean, it's all there. I'm excited about him. He's going to do some damage, man. If we As long as we can appropriately find ways, and I have a lot of confidence that Buster will do
Oh
this,
yeah.
find ways to appropriately get him the ball. Whoo-wee. Uh, get him in space running. Watch out. That's gonna be an explosive most of the time. Man, he's fun to watch. So that one's definitely clicking on the excitement meter for me early on for sure.
No doubt. I will say this about Singleton. Quite the unique journey, wouldn't you
Mm-hmm.
say? Start
Mm-hmm.
off at Georgia Tech with Faulkner. After that, he goes to Auburn expecting big minutes, which he did, but it just obviously Auburn was Auburn. No disrespect to the Tigers, War Eagle, all that good stuff. And he declares for the draft. And then he connects with Faulkner and says, "Hey, we got an opportunity here. We got an opportunity. Come back. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
Your college career is not over. We can raise your draft stock. Where we got some great elements down here." So knowing that and knowing some other players who have been draft bound and made a sharp left and all those things, I bet you Eric Singleton's got a thing or two to prove. He's got
It
a
wouldn't
chip on his
surprise
shoulder,
me, especially
right?
especially with the year he's coming off, considering
Right?
his 2 seasons prior. Yeah.
Exactly. So expect him to go ham. And so that's what I'm expecting out of Eric Singleton this fall.
Yep. And to know, I just got to say one more thing. To know that we have an OC that we can actually have the expectation that he can let him do that and will
Yes.
will facilitate him doing that.
Facilitate. Yes.
Oh, I cannot tell you how much better that makes me feel. The vibes are a complete 180 from where I was last year with that feeling of the talent and how we can use it. I'm oh, it's exciting stuff. That piece of the puzzle is the thing I am most high about of maybe anything with this entire team right now. I am
Yeah.
so ready to see an offense that does stuff that works and that is cool and that it is different and has four wide receivers and just on and on and on and on. I am just ready for it. I'm ready for all of it. So anyway, move on. Next on the list.
Yes, Joseph Mbachu. So
Mbachu.
right now, Joseph, he's down, minor calf strain. They're being overprotective on it. Coach
Mm-hmm.
Summerall did say minor,
Yep.
being overprotective, going into spring break, all that good stuff. He's going to be 100% coming back from the break. Okay. But I will say this, his size gains and footwork has been absolutely impressive. B, check this out. Mbachu had the biggest weight gain on the team, gaining over 25 pounds to sit at 300, an estimated 323 pounds. Okay. Gerald Chapman, Position coach says he has elite traits: size, ability, winning at the point of attack, block destruction. Hard worker, comes from a really good family background, very easy to coach. That's part of the reason why he's a really good kid and understands hard work, and it will pay off. Joseph Mbachu, hoping, expecting, looking for a lot of great things out of you this fall, kid, because it's your time to really shine.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to take you back to his recruiting profile if I can
Okay,
find it. Um, see
look,
if I can get it.
you're gonna go back, way back.
Yeah. So when he was originally recruited, he was a 3-star. By the time he committed and signed, he moved up to a 4-star. If you recall some stuff about him, he was very new to football. He only had a couple years experience. Um, he really did not have a lot of playing time in high school. I think he might have even only had like 3 years of football playing experience total in his life coming into this. So he was kind of one of those that was an under the radar until he wasn't. And then all of a sudden he came out of the woodwork and everybody and their mother is offering him. He had a ton of offers, ton. Um, we ended up being able to get the commit late. It was a late commit. This is one of those ones that Napier did pull off right at the end of 24 with all those late grabs and flips, right? If
Yeah,
you remember that, at the end of that season because of the, partially because of the results, but he also went on a real run there. He
he did.
ended up nationally ranked 227, so top 325th overall DL. So pretty good, pretty
Yeah.
good in the profile, but he was not there when we originally offered him early on. He was like, I don't even know if he was top 500 then because he was a 3-star. And again, he rose way up in the ranks. So this is a profile. When he was recruited, he was 6'4.5", 280. 6'4.5", 280. He is now, by the way, 6'5". He grew another half inch. That was documented as well. And as you mentioned, 323. Whoa. Whoa, that's a
Yeah.
lot. That's 50 pounds plus of
Unreal.
gain since his original profile. And again,
He
another
gained a
half
fourth
inch of
grader.
height as well.
Wow.
I mean, you're getting into serious differences from when he was originally recruited on the profile here from On3. So just some interesting stuff there to cite. Again, I'm with you there. The footwork stuff, I've seen some of this on film as well too from those first couple of days. Man, he can move for his size too. I mean, talk about an athletic kid for being that big. I mean, really, really good stuff there. So, um, yeah, excited about him for sure. Obviously we lost a piece there with the kind of the only one that I would say really, really stung. Obviously, Trey
Yeah.
hurt a little, but we have so much talent in the receiver room. It's kind of like when uh, good old Trevor left. Uh, we had so much in the running back room. It was like, okay, yeah, you left, but is it going to hurt us? Nah, probably not. Kind
Hmm.
of the same thing with Trey. D line, on the other hand, we did not have so much in the room. So it was like, oh, well, when Burrow left, it was like, well, that kind of stings a little, right? So it was a little different. But hearing what's going on with both Mbachu and McLeod, I feel pretty good about
Yeah.
what's backfilling that hole, that void, right, that was left there. And then obviously you're still going to have um, Jamari Lyons there to help fill that center position as well. So I think we're going to be okay interior D line. I think it's going to be kind of a little similar situation to last year. You got to watch injuries there, but we'll get more into that discussion with our next pod. So I'll leave that alone for now. Moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next standout from practice so far, Bailey Stockton, another wide receiver transfer out of this time Georgia Tech straight, not via Auburn. Um, Man, this kid's a competitor. This kid's a gamer. Lot of uh tough-minded, right? Big heart, and a lot of just, that he's just going to go out there and outwork whoever he possibly can. Right? He's just going to go out there and just put it all out on the field and work, work, work. And I'm telling you, he may end up he may end up starting. I don't know. I don't know that that's going to happen, right? We don't know who's starting. We have no insight on that right now. It's way too early. They've made it clear every position is up for grabs, right, in terms of the competition. And I love that they're doing that for the record. Absolutely love it. And I want to make a point on that about the QB thing because there's been a lot of talk about that, but we'll get there later. But yeah, Bailey Stockton, man, he's showing out. I'll tell you, the thing I've seen from his film when I'm watching it is very precise in his movements, in his turns, in his route running. He's definitely got enough speed. He's certainly not a burner, right? But he's got enough speed. Just kind of reminds me of your slot guys like the comparison that's always going to jump out is your Wes Welkers, right? And your Julian Edelmans and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, I don't know that that's the right comparison for him for either one of those guys. Maybe a little more Lad McConkey vein, right? Like maybe a little more like that. I don't know if he's quite as quick as McConkey, but just a hard worker in terms of what he's out there doing, just really focusing on getting those steps right, getting that foot in the right place so that he's running exactly the right route when he should. I mean, I'm seeing all that stuff. And again, quick feet, enough speed, good hands, right? All those things kind of coming together. And again, I said he might start. If he ends up playing the slot, he's not going to start in all likelihood, right? Because that's going to be VB3 probably.
Oh
So
yeah.
unless they end up flexing VB3 out, which then he might, but I don't think that's going to happen. So in fairness, he probably won't if he's playing the slot. But nonetheless, he's going to see the field. Bailey's going to see the field based on everything we're seeing. The kid's going to get playing time. And we weren't sure about that at all when he transferred. So
Right.
hats off to him with what we're seeing so far out of spring. It's still early, but really good stuff there.
Yeah, when your head coach says, "Man, he's a competitor. He just
Mm-hmm.
does not want to lose, loves competing. Loves
Yep.
competing." Okay. Folks, he's 5'10", 182, right? I'm 5'9" and 3/4, 180. Okay, so yeah, not the tallest, not the fastest. Definitely scrappy though. Definitely scrappy. 25 years removed, winning the Hustle Award, whatever that is. Uh, but at the end of the day, what's really cool to me was to hear Summerall say that, and then Faulkner saying how what a big heart he's got, how tough-minded he is, and then I'll take it a step further. Okay, check this out: Vernell Brown, Kanye Clark. We all know about their dominant gauntlet performance. Correct me if I'm wrong, B, but those were the only two to go undefeated in gauntlet. Correct?
That is correct. And I got a little more intel on that too from something recently. The only gauntlet that Jaden Woods lost was to VB3.
Yes. I'll tell you this. He won the first Monday speed school effort. And in addition to that, he was the one who pushed VB3 and Clark to their limit, apparently, in the gauntlet.
Wow.
And not to
Wow.
mention, he was able to match Dallas Wilson pound for pound in their weight room sessions. I like where that's headed. I
Yeah,
like where
you're
that's headed.
not kidding, man. Wilson can, he's a strong kid. That's something.
Oh yeah,
Good stuff,
absolutely.
man. Yeah, I'm definitely more than I thought we were going to get out of him. Not that I thought anything poorly of him as a transfer, certainly, but I just thought, maybe kind of mid-rotational guy, maybe see the field here and there, but more
Pleasant
of a
surprise. Yeah.
more of a depth piece. I
Hmm.
think we're getting a lot more than that out of him.
Oh yeah.
Certainly looks like it so far.
Agreed.
All right, moving on. Who's next?
Moving on. Tramel Jones.
Yes, sir.
Folks, I'm telling you right now, I know a lot of people thought, okay, Philo's coming in. Philo's been with Faulkner a couple of years, knows the offense, knows it well, knows this, knows that. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be given the job at QB1. And again, what do most coordinators, quarterbacks, coach, what do most head coaches say? Well, it's up in the air. We're not going to give it to the guy, right? No, of course not. But I'm telling you what, right now, apparently Tramel Jones has quote unquote the juice. He's
Yeah.
got the arm strength. He's got the overall physical abilities. Okay. Tramel's a very talented player. This is quoted by Joe Craddock, right, quarterback's coach. When you first get around, when you see the interaction he has with the other guys like him. They flock to him. He's a natural leader in that regard. He has that factor that people want to be around him and associate with him. Really good kid, good person, extremely intelligent, and has a huge football IQ. He picked up the offense quick, really quick. Hello? Really?
Hmm?
Because I'm telling you, I saw this kid when I officiated a game, Mandarin at Bradford, over there in Bradford, Florida, out there in Stark. I saw him again. I had one game that I saw him before he went down when he broke his leg. But I'm
Yep.
telling you, the kid threw a beautiful ball in high school, and he had so many. Because I mean, he was the one throwing the ball to Jamie French, who went to Texas,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And he can get out of the backfield. He could run. He could scamper. He had the physical, even though he wasn't the tallest, he has so many great physical abilities about him. So if he's got the physicality and you pair that with the mental aspect of it and the ability to pick up this type of offense so quickly with all these fine moving parts that Faulkner wants to employ, holy smokes.
Yep.
Tramel Jones turning some heads.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go again to film review here from what I've been able to see from the stuff that's been put out there from the practices. If I was evaluating today, just
Uh-huh.
based on what I've seen thrown against air, right, which is not all you need to know, right? There's a ton more. But if I'm just going against the throws that I've seen against air, that's my starter. And it's not a huge gap by any stretch of the imagination, but there's just been a few throws. Not all deep balls either, by the way, though the deep balls have been somewhat appreciably better from him than Philo.
Philo, yeah.
But even some of the mid-range stuff that needed a little touch, they put in a couple drills where they were like throwing over an obstacle, right? And if I had to be real nitpicky here, right? I'm not. Philo has not had bad throws in any of these situations. There's been nothing where I'm like, oof. No, they've all been fine. But Tramel's have just been a little bit better, catching receivers a little more in stride. It's not every throw, but more consistently, Tramel's are a little more dialed in, a little more touch over the tackling dummies that they were trying to get the ball over and dropping, kind of dropping it in with a little more finesse on the deep balls, catching those guys in stride a little more, not having to slow down as much, right? Again, consistently. Have there been throws where Philos were as good as that? Yes. But more often, Trammels are doing that more consistently. So again, if I'm picking today, which we're not, and neither are they, let me be very
Mm-hmm.
clear. This is going to be an ongoing thing. And again, there's a lot more to it than just thrown against air.
Right.
But right now, based on the film I've seen, Trammell's my starter. So that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. I'm certainly not my decision, first of all. And secondly, way more that goes into it. But hearing that he's already comprehending the offense this early, and let's remember, Trammell picked this up to be the backup as a freshman over two other guys who had
Yes.
been in the system for a year already last year. So clearly he's a quick learner. Clearly he knows how to process and figure this stuff out. Now, I would argue that the complexity of what he's going into is going to be a lot different than the complexity we just had. However, that's not a knock on him at all, because clearly, again, he's a fast learner, but there's going to be more to learn, obviously. But I'll say this, man, the early results, he gets green lights from me. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely some good stuff there. All right, moving on. Mr. VB3, all SEC in three categories. And probably the reason why is my number one dot here, work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
The quote from, I don't know if it was Summerall or if it was Faulkner, but the
Faulkner
quote
about
was, it was Faulkner? Okay. That he
regarding
has,
how long he stays in the
yes, that he
yes.
has never seen a player, or maybe it was a receiver, but I think it was just a player, period, stay as long and work as hard
Yes.
as VB3, period, ever. He is there the earliest, he stays the latest. He is working, 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 despite how much talent we all know he has. That's how you get to be elite. You work your butt off. And man,
Yes.
this kid's got the work ethic to do it. And the availability that he has to continue to learn, his attitude, right? All of those things. Obviously, we know he's competitive because he didn't lose a gauntlet. Like, I mean, he's checking every box, continues to check every box. He already did, but he's continuing to do it, staying with that, fitting into the scheme. The 1-2 punch there, assuming Dallas gets healthy as he is expected to do, this receiver room got a lot of hype when we picked up Singleton as potentially being the best in the country. All signs point to yes. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
got to say. This receiver room could be nasty. And then again, you add, potential of Bailey being a really good addition, that's going to come in and play. Obviously we're hearing great things about a couple of the freshmen. Don't forget about TJ Abrams. He is not looking bad in practice from the film I've seen on him either. I mean, there's a freshman in Davian Gross who can play a little bit. I mean, the names just keep going. This receiver
Oh
room
yeah.
is stacked, absolutely stacked. It is going to be fun to watch. If we have a quarterback that can just throw the ball where he's supposed to throw it and have a decent understanding of the offense, whoever that might be, look out, man. Look out. It's going to be fun.
I tell you what, VB3, we know about the catch last year. We know about the
Yep.
catch. We know about the quickness, the speed, the shiftiness, all those things. But I'll tell you what, when you get when everyone, the whole team is stripped of the Gator logo, the patch, stripped of it, you earn it, and then the staff comes to you and says, hey, we're going to grant you the opportunity to wear the number one.
Yep.
What? What an honor.
Yep.
Absolute honor. And this kid is going to wear it so well, so proud. And but again, Gator goggles aside, right? Orange and blue goggles aside, everything else. When you hear a dude being talked about this much, it's very rare that the production is limited in the fall.
Again,
I
the
know
only
we've
thing
got
I think could limit it is a Napier offense, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. So we're good.
right, right, and that's the thing with the amount that he's being hyped. I don't think it's just hype. I think again, you look at the footage, you look at the amount of hours he spends in the facility, after hours in the facility, working on his craft. He's a straight professional,
Yeah,
and
100%.
we hope to see big things from him here in the fall. So yeah, he's a dude. We're number one. Love
Yeah, I
that.
think the biggest challenge Faulkner's going to have is how does he get all of these dudes the ball enough, honestly, and
No
that's the
doubt.
that's the best problem I can
First
possibly
world
imagine.
problem, man. Yeah.
Yep.
First world problem.
And get your all SEC running back the carries that he
The
needs to
carries.
while you're at it.
Yep.
Because wow, talk about stack, dude. Like if Troutwine gets this O line in line, that wasn't meant to be punny that way, but
Well done.
if he
Well
if
done.
he gets if he gets them playing the way we need them to be playing, I I mean buzzsaw comes to mind, and I know I'm talking high here, but like I'm seeing what I'm seeing, and I'm hearing what I'm hearing from the reports, and it's again like you said, it's not even orange and blue goggles, like it's really not. It's just the it's like we by having Faulkner involved in this, if you have a couple of these other key pieces come into play, and that O line's
Yeah.
super important, so I'm counting on Phil to get that right, but I trust him with the results that we've seen in his background at Penn State, right? And I trust the fact that we have some talent there, which we do. You put those two together, you make that reliant, and you trust that the quarterback is going to be decent. I don't need him to be an all-star. I really don't. Whoever it is,
Hmm.
it just needs to be decent. You put in the fact that now we took the training wheels off the offense because I know that Faulkner has strong capability. And again, not a guy that I even need to be, I don't need Cliff Kingsbury out there running my offense, right? I don't need a savant. I just need somebody who's very capable, which all indications say Faulkner is very capable, possibly, and then some. You put that all together, man, I don't know how the data doesn't show
Mm-hmm.
some excellent results there. I really don't. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't. All right, moving along.
Well
Who's
said.
next?
Hezzy Kent. Folks, this kid is unreal. 6'6", 313 pounds. Okay, let that sink in. Is he a tackle? Is he a D-line? No, he's our tight end, folks.
Nah, he's
He's
out
our
there
tight
running go
end.
routes, buddy.
Okay, out there running a go route, turning heads with his unique combination of size, soft hands, and fluidity. I don't think you can use some of those things to describe a human being 6'6", 313. But guess what? That's how they described Hezzy Kent. Faulkner said, extremely skilled for his size, extremely fluid. He's got good ball skills as anybody that we have on the team. We all know he's a big boy. We've got to continue to develop him in the offseason, during the season, getting down to where he can go out there and have chances to compete. His size makes him an intriguing option in short yardage and goal line situations. Huh. Here's another fun fact. Averaged a double-double in high school, okay? He should be playing basketball right now in the playoffs over there at Brunswick High School in Georgia. Okay?
I mean,
He got here early.
maybe he should be backing up Chinelu. I don't know.
Yeah, right. He got here early, and a lot of times when kids get here early, as you know, B, it's a big shock to their system. But at the end of the day, he's willing. He's a big personality, but guess what? The ego, he's willing to learn. He's listening to the coaches. He's taking all the feedback. He's doing whatever he needs to be doing to be a valuable asset to the team. But I tell you what, I just couldn't get over the fact of 6'6", 313 being a unique combination of soft hands and very fluid. Unbelievable.
Yeah. No, if you haven't seen this video, you may have been under a rock because it went viral. A lot of views on that one. I don't know the number, but it went a little nuts. Him running out and running that go route, as you mentioned, or a couple of them actually, and catching some of these passes because it was more than one. Uh, Pretty impressive stuff for a dude his size, as mentioned. So it's clear that they want to use him at least in some capacity on the offensive side of the ball in a tight end formation, right, or out of the tight end position. Really interesting stuff. I think we're seeing more of these type of situations with certain players, right? You saw Miss do it with Pegues. You saw Alabama do some stuff with Proctor, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting to see, what the possibilities could be here. I'm intrigued for sure. Very interested to see what he could do. We recruited him as a tight end. I think it's part of the reason he came here because it was kind of up in the air of what position will he play, O line, D line, whatever. I think it's interesting that he did come here as a tight end because we did recruit him that way. But looking at how we used tight ends previously, kind of shocked that he picked us. But now, oh man, did you land on a soft pillow there, Hazy? Because now you might get some real action, buddy. So I love it. I think it's great. Be very interesting to see what that looks like. I'm intrigued for sure. So definitely some cool stuff there. All right, moving on. L.J. McCray. If that's a name that rings a bell, because you didn't hear it much last year because he was hurt.
Mhm.
That's your former 5-star defensive end out of Daytona. Expected to do big things, has not as of yet done big things, but I think people have been a little quick to say, oh, he's not living up to expectations. He was a freshman when he first played. He had a few minor injury things his freshman year, but was able to see the field. Didn't pop extremely, but did have a few nice plays toward the back half of that season. Then last year got hurt early and was out. So way too early in my mind to be casting any aspersions or negativity on his abilities. He's been hurt. It is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. And
Hmm.
what we are hearing and seeing, but a little more hearing than seeing on this one, is that he has totally changed his physique in the offseason. He has worked his butt off in the weight room. He is absolutely in a competition mode. He knows he is going to have to compete for his position, and he will, because there is legit competition at his position, despite his background. And I didn't say this when we were talking about quarterbacks, but I think I'll bring it up now. Go back to 2 years ago at Tulane. Darian Mensa, the $10
Oh,
million Miami quarterback now,
yeah.
who last year was the quarterback at Duke, but the year before was the quarterback at Tulane. Do you know what he started that year at Tulane in spring practice on the depth chart?
Tell me.
Fourth.
Whew.
And he won the starting job because he was the best in practice. So don't tell me that Summerall doesn't believe in playing the best guy based on competition in
Yes, sir.
practice. Because if that ain't proof positive, and he had like no NIL deal, by the way, he had one, but it was virtually non-existent. Now he's making $10 million to start at Miami. So that's reported, by the way. It's not confirmed, but that's just the reported
Bonkers.
deal, which is
Yeah.
absolutely ludicrous, by the way. But we're getting into Rashada territory at this point. But we'll move on.
Oh,
Um,
ouch.
yeah,
Ouch.
shots fired. But so the point I'm trying to make here is I think McCray gets it. I think he understands he's got to compete. I think he wants to. All signs are saying that. They're saying not only in the things that he's doing with his body in terms of his workout regimen and really trying to improve that, but also in terms of his practice attitude, his effort. All of those things that have been said and reported so far are that LJ came to play. So it will be very interesting to see how that pans out, what that looks like if he does win the starting role. And even if he doesn't, what happens as the season goes on if he is rotational, right? Whatever. I am still very high on him. His physical traits as a defensive end, 6'6", ridiculous wingspan, somewhere in the when he came here 250 range, could be more than that now. I don't know his current weight. They pop. They are the absolute off the metrics type stuff, right? For a D end at
Hmm.
the NFL level. The kid's got what it takes to do this at the highest level. I think you can at least look for a much better season from him based on everything that we're seeing and hearing so far. Excited about it.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. We know, I don't think it's hearsay. We know that a lot of players on this team was challenged by Summerall when he came in.
Yep.
One notably that wore the number two. And the challenge was not welcomed. An ultimate sign of leadership when you look at these kids and growth and
Yep.
opportunity is to understand how they handle the tough situations. Highly touted, big recruitment, over 10 offers. That's what LJ had looking forward to. And he came to Florida. Awesome get, great get. Physical abilities, freakish, right? We toyed with that word because of his size. You mentioned the
Mm-hmm.
wingspan, all those things. But
Yep.
to know that he was staring down the battle of a position competition,
Yep.
despite how heavily he was recruited, he said, you know what? Challenge accepted. Let's go to war. Let's go to work. Phenomenal, phenomenal
Yep.
attitude. That's
And
going to get
and
him
and
places.
hasn't just said it, but has backed it up with his
Has
effort
backed it
already
up. Right.
in the weight room in the offseason, right?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about, right? So that's where the rubber hits the road. So really good stuff there for sure.
Definitely.
All right, move on to the other side of the line on defense and edge rushers. Talk to me about our boy Jaden Woods.
Jaden Woods cannot be blocked. Direct quote, Phil Troutwain, your two-time national champion O-line coach.
Yep,
Okay. I tell you what, Jaden Woods, we saw a lot of great things from him in the freshman season, right? Last year, recorded 27 tackles, 3.5 sacks, one interception, earning him freshman All SEC, and Pro Football Focus freshman All American accolades.
Yep.
Jaden Woods is a big get 2 times over. Let me explain.
Yep. You're right. Well said.
Right? He was an amazing get coming out in the recruiting class because last year was his true freshman year and obviously put up great numbers as a true freshman. But let's face it, folks, he entered the transfer portal a few months ago, projected to go to Texas. So clearly he liked what Texas did. Clearly there's a lot of resources at Texas. And I'm not just talking the oil, Matthew McConaughey. Okay. Summerall came in, they got connected. He went out to Kansas to his family to go see him. Say, hey, Summerall, defensive minded guy, says, hey, these are the plans I have for you. You got to come back. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. We'll make it, but we need you. I need you. This team needs you. And guess what? Big get number 2 because he came back. What an absolute win to get Jaden Woods back on this team. He did
Absolutely.
note that his second spring is less overwhelming than the first spring, and that he's focused on being more vocal and all in as a leader for the Gators. And not just on defense, but for this team as a whole. Another fun fact. He switched. He talked to his dad. He switched. He's switched from number 15, wearing the number 0, inspired by his father to represent starting from the ground up, starting from ground zero, and leading with consistency and work ethic. Phenomenal. Can't say enough about this kid. His voice is being heard, his actions on the practice field are being seen and felt. Expect another, again, outside orange and blue goggles, expect big, big things from Jaden Woods this fall, especially with how Brad White wants to use him coming off that edge.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely love it. Obviously, I picked him as my full season accolade last year.
Yes,
Love this
you
kid.
did.
He broke my heart when he was going to transfer. Made it sing when he came back. Just great stuff, man. Could not be happier to have him back. And the Troutwine quote says all. I mean, he was dropping some serious comparisons, right, in terms of, and I'm blanking on the guy's name now, but the elite edge rusher from Penn State that went like second or third in the draft. The name's escaping me, but he was saying like that his name came out in the same sentence, right? That we just can't figure out how to block him, like you know, and Carter's the last name, but I can't think of the first name. I think it's Abdul,
Oh yeah,
maybe.
Abdul
Um,
Carter.
yeah, Abdul Carter. There you go. That's a top 5 draft pick, and he's saying his name in the same sentence. Now, I'm not saying he's saying the same player, but getting mentioned by
Great
a guy
company.
who's been up against both those guys, right? He's not just throwing it out there. Phil knows what he's
Nope.
talking about, right? So you're 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 in some serious company if Troutman's going to throw that name around. You know,
Yes.
it's that's serious, right? So you're you're talking about some pretty elite talent there. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens on that side of the line going into this year. Because Jaden can play, ladies and gentlemen. He can play. We saw evidence of it last year, and again, he didn't even get as many snaps, but he will this year. Count on it. So good stuff. All right. That wraps up the player updates that we have, the intel we have. We dug in a lot for this. We really tried to give you some really in-depth stuff there. So I hope we've kind of filled your head with as much knowledge as we can there. We're going to move on and give you a quick basketball update as promised, since March Madness is progressing here. Obviously, first 4 going on right now. Prairie View did lock up the 16 seed opponent for us with a stellar win over Lehigh, 67-55. Woo
Yay.
wee, woo wee. That's a high scoring affair. So that will be the first round opponent, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll let you get us started here. Talk about where we think the team is, coming into the tourney here. Obviously, didn't end the SEC tourney the way we would have liked to. What do we think that means? Where does it put us? Give me some thoughts here.
Yeah, a couple of things. So, first of all, regular season SEC champs, cool, great. But to know that we could have done the deal and finished off as the SEC champs, uh, such a tough loss to Vandy because guess what? Vandy beat us by being us. Period.
Hmm.
That's how you beat us, right? That's how you beat this Florida team. You out hustle, you outman, you out physical them, and that's what Vandy did. Because if you take a look at that game, besides the fact that Vandy, for whatever reason, shot lights out, like they have not
Yeah.
shot like that all season, okay?
Yeah.
Averaging what I want to say it was 55% from the field, 44% from the 3-point line. Stupid numbers, absolutely stupid. I mean, you had AK Okereke turning around from 17 feet and hitting a fade. I was like, what? He can't shoot like that. But he hit it. He did. So that was what it was. I loved, I didn't like the loss, but I loved seeing the team's reaction in the locker room. I definitely enjoyed hearing Kondo's reaction. Okay.
Hmm.
Kondo was not mad. He was extremely ticked.
Yep.
And with everyone who's been around Alex Condon knows, okay, the big Aussie, the big right. He's an easygoing kid. Doesn't really show a lot of emotion. I mean, you can visibly see the frustration on his face. And when Alex gets frustrated, Alex lets that frustration out on the court. So I expect some very big things for him in this run. So obviously the loss was the loss, but it benefited because almost like it hits the reset button, right?
Yep.
Coach Golden and the staff, let's face it, Coach Golden, phenomenal job, arguably perennial coach right now in the college basketball game. He's going to use this to hit the reset button, to refocus, to do all the things that he needs to do to get these guys back in the zone. Because here's the thing. Again, the win streak was up there. Again, what was it, B? Was it Indiana in 76 who had the last win streak come into the tournament that was this long?
Correct,
Whatever
because
the
they were undefeated. They were the last one to win the title after a win streak longer than 13 games. And we would
right
have been 14
with
coming
a
in had we
14.
won the title.
Exactly. So, I mean, unbelievable. But at the end of the day, great to hit the reset button. And not to mention, this benefits us in a couple different ways. Outside of that, the reset, the reshift, the refocus, when you taste a loss like this, when you're favored like that, it just hits different. So outside the reset button, you understand now, more importantly, it's like, hey, this is what it was like to lose. Because sometimes you're on this win streak and you're winning, and especially what we did in SEC play, right? What happened? There was 5 games, 6 games in a row with 19 plus points that we won by.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So a massive reset button, and so that's how I think this team's going to be affected, right? And going back to what do we do? To two keys, B, I think here as we round out this South region. Do we rely on the three ball? Do we continue to shoot the three ball despite that abysmal percentage? And do we feed it to the bigs as we discovered what worked really, really well and that caught fire in the beginning of January and mid January? How do we let that front court really lead us? Because they've definitely helped this year, especially when guard play was sporadic. So I think the three ball and the bigs, two major keys as we head into the tournament time.
Yeah, definitely would agree on all those points. So, first things first, 54%, you were spot on the overall field goal, 47% Vandy shot from three.
47?
Ridiculous. 47.
Night.
Yeah. 10 for 21.
Stupid.
And 91% or 93% or no, 91%, sorry, went back to it. 91% from the
Free
free throw
throw.
line. Yeah,
Okay,
ridiculous.
yeah.
And they shot a ton of free throws due to some interesting officiating that we'll leave out of this conversation.
Oh boy.
So, moving along. Uh, okay, put the clock on me because I'll go all night if you let me on this.
Clock
But I
on,
won't.
9:54.
Put the clock on me. I'm going to try and not let this go more than 5-6 minutes. All right. So I'm going to leave the thoughts on the loss alone, other than to say I love the reset button conversation, right? It lets you refocus, not be worried about, let that loss be fresh in your mind in terms of just, okay, let's turn it on again. Let's refocus on what we need to do to get through this. The only thing in front of you now is the tournament. 6 games, 6 wins, title, right? It makes it very finite. It makes it very conformed. You don't have to refocus in terms of, okay, well, we just won this and we just won that. No, it's you just lost. So this is it now, right? So I think it actually helps a little with that. And that's not me just being hopeful. That really is, I think there is a little psychology there. Interesting little stat that the national championship winners who did not win their conference, which I believe it's like 5 out of the last 10 that is the case, or maybe even 6 out of the last 10, they all lost in the conference semis. Something to that, I don't know, but that is a true stat. So interesting. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the road. I've got a bunch of different stuff here that I'm going to cover quickly because I don't want to spend too much time on it, as I mentioned, but I do have some interesting data points that I want to get into. So first of all, Florida's path here, really not that hard. And that's not to disparage anybody. It's just for Florida and the matchups, right? Because college basketball is all about matchups, especially in the tournament. The matchups here are favorable for the most part, even if we get Vandy again.
Mm-hmm.
The Vandy matchup is not bad for us, and I'll speak to it in a second. So 2 things I want to talk to. There is a stat. There is a website, if you're not aware of it, cbbanalytics.com. Again, if you geek out on this stuff, check it out. Absolutely phenomenal site. Got data out the wazoo. But there's a really cool stat on there that talks about, and it's not displayed exactly this way on there, but it basically gives you adjusted offensive efficiency for a team on the y-axis versus total rebounding and turnover margin. So in other words, our total rebounds and turnovers forced, or I'm sorry, our total rebounds and turnovers given versus a team's total, the other team's total rebounds and turnovers forced, right? So margin on both. And it puts those together and you can scatter plot it with all the teams. The teams that are in the top quadrant of this, well, let me rephrase. The last 20 Final Four teams have all been in the top right quadrant of this stat, first and foremost. Secondly, I will tell you that currently the teams that are elite in this category, meaning we are way in the top right quadrant of this, are Florida, Gonzaga, Arizona, Duke, Purdue, and I'll give Illinois that they make it too, but they're on the outskirts because their margin for the turnover and rebounding margin is not quite as good because their defensive rating is not great, though their rebounding is excellent. I'll get to that in a minute. So those teams, and Iowa State is almost there too, I will say. They're like right on the verge of this. Notice I did not say Michigan. Michigan's also close, but they're not quite there. Their rebounding is just and turnover margin is not quite good enough. Their offensive efficiency is excellent, but they're not quite good enough on the other stuff. Interestingly, the opponents that we could face in this particular margin that are the best at this are Houston, no surprise, though they are not near as good as we are at it, nor any of those other teams I just mentioned. So no surprise, Houston. The next best opponent we could face on this is McNeese. Surprise anybody? Surprised me.
Very.
From there, nobody else we would play except Iowa, who is barely even in this quadrant at all, right? Being the top right of this, scatter plot, if you will. Iowa's there. No other opponent we could even face is even in it. Interesting things. Again, wow. These are the teams that have made the Final Four. They've all been in this quadrant.
Very interesting.
For the last 5 years, every single Final Four team has been in this quadrant of this graph. That's all I'm going to say. Just saying. So if they're not, probably not a Final Four team. Data would indicate. Okay, one more thing I'll throw at you. Of our possible opponents, and this is not every possible opponent, but I wanted to run down rebounding ranking. because as we know, the Gators are a very good rebounding team. If you didn't know that, we
Yes.
are first in total rebounds and tied for first in offensive rebounding. So you really can't get better than we are in those two stats. I want to
Hmm.
give you the ranks of the teams that we either will play in Prairie View or could play in the subsequent rounds, most likely. I'll do both for the next round and then the potential ones for the following rounds that are most likely. I didn't do McNeese because I don't think that's super likely in the Sweet 16, but yeah, it could happen, but it's not probable. So anyway, I'll run this down. Prairie View, total rebounding rank, tied for 238th. Offensive rebounding rank, tied for 260th.
Mm.
Iowa, this one shocked me, tied for 355th in
Ouch.
total rebounds, tied for 314th in offensive rebounds. So, in other
Very
words,
low.
if we play Iowa, we can just keep rebounding until we score, and then they can get the ball back because apparently that's what's going to happen. Um, I don't know. We just keep shooting until we make it, and then they can have the ball. Apparently, that's what it's going to look like. So, moving on. Clemson tied 211th in total, offensive tied 290th. No real threats here in this
Mm.
statistic. And it's not the only thing that matters. But again, when you look at our adjusted offensive efficiency and that we are quite good in that and we are the best in this, it's tough to beat if you're not at least competing with us on the boards. And none of these teams
Yes.
are. None of these teams are. Vandy, we get a little better and their offensive efficiency is actually better than ours slightly. Tied 157th in total rebounding, tied 194th in offensive. Now, we dominated them on the boards in that game. We lost.
Hmm.
So that came out the way it should have. A lot of other things didn't. That's why that game went awry, right? But it would be unlikely for that to happen twice in a row. I'm not saying we definitively win, but I don't think you see those kind of results 2 games in a row. I
Hmm.
think you obviously get a much more competitive game. Moving along. Nebraska tied 140th in total rebounding, tied 301st in offensive rebounding. Oh, not
Ouch.
good. They're not pulling many off. They're not getting many second chance points.
Nope.
Houston, this one surprised me. I didn't think it would be this low. Tied 132nd in total rebounding, tied 38th in offensive. So offensive is decent, but total
Hmm.
rebounding, not great. Kind of resembled us last year. Good offensive rebounding, not so good total rebounding. And
Hmm.
then this one absolutely shocked me. Illinois, should we see them in the Elite Eight, which is the only place we would, 7th in rebounding, 9th in offensive rebounding.
Ooh, top
That
10.
that presents an interesting challenge. They will negate a lot of our advantage potentially on the boards.
Hmm.
Their offensive efficiency is best in the country. Nobody better. So they can score and they can neutralize some of our advantage in rebounding. The thing is though, their defensive metrics are absolutely terrible. They are a bad defensive team. Period. No bones about it, right? They are not good. So where can we make up for it potentially with some of our defense and how much can we score? That game could be an absolute track meet if it happens.
Mm.
Food for thought. That's what I got for you. Interesting stuff. If you haven't done your brackets yet, I don't hate the Gators' chances to at least make the Final Four again. I'm not saying it definitively happens. There are some potential things that could go wrong, but
Yeah.
you mentioned it. If we lean into the post play, if the guards play smart in terms of the 3-point shots and we
Yeah.
leverage the right shots from three, as we've talked about, I don't want to lean into it, but, getting the right looks there. And as long as we just don't go ice cold like we did against, I would say, Kentucky, that game was ice cold. I like the chances. A lot of the metrics are leaning in our favor. The matchups are good. There's nothing that shines out as being like an uh-oh game there. Maybe Houston, maybe, but it's not anything that screams like big problem in any of those
Hmm.
matchups. Now you get to the Final Four, it's a different story. But until we get there, it's not hateful. It's really not. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think we have a legit chance to get back at least to, the national semis. And from there, you never know. So be cool to watch. Go Gators.
It would be incredible to make it, and if for whatever reason, we end up cutting down the nets. Uh, Again, I'm not saying blue blood. I know that that's reserved for your North Carolinas and Dukes and Kansas and Kentucky, Kentucky of old, not recent Kentucky. I know
Not
that,
recent Kentucky.
but
And
I'm
they hate
right.
it. Man, do they hate it.
And they hate, especially to the tune of spending 22 million. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm telling you, to know that Billy D put us on the map. Well, Lon Kruger first, but Billy D really upped the game. Back-to-back Final Fours, back-to-back Natties, and Todd Golden, mind you, folks, in season number 4, can do the same. I, it'll be amazing. It really
It
will.
it would be amazing stuff. I think that it's going to be tough. I think especially if we make
Yes,
the title game. I think our likely opponent. I mean, likely, however likely it is, right? Air quotes on that. I think Arizona is really going to be tough to knock out in this tournament. With the way that they play and some of the metrics that are backing them. And that's
yeah,
if we can get by Duke before we get there, assuming that we play them, which I think is also likely.
is
So
likely.
if we
Yeah.
can even make the title game, which is its own task, but if we could, I think we play Zona, and I don't know, man, they're really good. They're really good. So I don't know. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not
No,
ruling
yeah,
it
I'm
out.
not either.
But
Uh, I want to say there was an analyst on ESPN. Maybe it was Sean Farnham, CFB analyst and or college basketball analyst. And it was odd. He had his final two being Florida and Zona, and unfortunately, he had it because that was our first game of the season, Florida.
yep,
We played Arizona, and
yep,
obviously we realized what a man-child Koa Pete was.
yep,
But unfortunately, Farnham had it breaking down the same way
yeah.
as Zona winning. But wouldn't that be absolutely uncanny to know that it could be us against Zona in the final game of the season to start that started the season? I'm not sure if that's ever happened. That'd be wild.
I mean, you want my gut pick right now. My first bracket I did. That's exactly what I had, and I have Zona winning it.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Thanks for the transparency.
again the goggles off, right? No orange and
Yeah, yeah,
blue. And
yeah.
I do a lot of brackets, and I do have Florida winning a couple of them. But I got Zona and us again, the first bracket I did, and I got Zona taking it because it's just there's too many things about that team that are just too good that I just, again, can we win it? Of course, it's a college basketball game, anything can happen, but and especially in March. But I, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a big ask.
It is a
So
lot.
looking at all the data, looking at all the stuff that's there, it to me it screams that the one that makes the most sense is having Arizona take it. So for what it's worth, we'll see. But again, doesn't mean we can't do it, and certainly there's a shot. So we'll see what happens. But
For sure. For
all right,
sure.
let's close this thing out. Talk about the next
Yeah.
pod and wrap it up. We've gone long enough for sure.
For sure. But no, great topic overall. Love the way this was laid out. But yeah, next regularly scheduled podcast for Tuesday, March 31st, where we will be discussing the rounding out of the spring roster. Again, no guarantees, no, hey, here's the starter or whatever, but we're just going to take a nice dive into the potentials within the position groups and what because as we know, we got coming up on April 11th. That is our spring game, Saturday, April 11th. So, but yes, next pod, Tuesday, March 31st, we'll be diving into that spring roster and seeing what some of the standouts are and potentials going from there. And folks, as you know, we do this pod strictly out of our love for Gator football and now Gator
and
basketball,
and
right?
some Gator basketball. Yes, indeed.
Yep, purely out of passion. So we appreciate any feedback. We appreciate a share. We appreciate a like. We appreciate spreading the good word of my two bits. Because certainly we've had a good bit of bits tonight to talk about. But outside of that, before I sign us off, anything else you want to mention, B?
No, man. Pumped for the tourney as always. It's
Yes.
great to see us with another, shot at it. Even if I didn't have it, as that first pick, doesn't mean I'm not going to be rooting my butt off. Let me be very clear.
Yeah,
I hope that's a known thing. I hope that didn't come off like I won't be wanting that result. But yeah, no, just very very pumped for this. Always a fun time of year. if you don't have the next 2 days off, I don't have them off, but I've got, enough time set aside in the afternoons. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, it's always fun, great stuff. So at any rate, no, it's been great. As you mentioned, really good stuff in this one. Enjoyed it, and looking forward to seeing what these next couple weeks in March bring us. Hopefully, when we do that next one, we'll be able to talk about our Final Four matchup. We'll see. We'll see.
Exactly. Hopefully, we'll have a good Gator basketball update in that next pod on Tuesday, March
Indeed.
31st.
Indeed. That'll be the
So,
hope for sure.
no doubt, no doubt. So, wherever you are and whenever you may be listening, thank you for taking the time, and we will see you around, Gator Nation.